Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the Feral Druid single button guide. I've been looking forward to this one here. I'm a huge fan of Feral Druids. The only problem I have with them is to keep up all my dots. But that is not a problem anymore with the single button assistant build I have made. Well, which we're using is probably the more right way to say, is that it will keep up the dots, the bleeds for you 100% all the time. You never have to be worried about, oh my god, am I keeping up my dots all the time, and so on, so on, so on. And yes, your bleeds will be up 100% of the time. We will be doing crazy damage. It's super fun and relaxing to play. And as you can see, normally when you play a Feral Druid, you have so many abilities. You have like 6 to 12 abilities in your rotation, but we don't have any of that. Now we have one button for rotation, one burst, one kick ability, and some cooldowns. And the self-healing in this build is crazy. So if you're looking for fun stealth bleeding self-healing build that is super solo friendly or just super fun to play, this is definitely a guide you need to watch. So let's get to it. But as always, the agenda for today is we're going to talk about the stats, then a quick walk through the talents, then we're going to talk about the rotation, we're going to talk about the gameplay. Well, gameplay is going to be me running a dungeon so you can actually see it in action, and then I'm going to have a very quick 3-minute summary at the end. So if you're here for just very quickly hearing everything about the spec, you should need to go to description, seeing the time marks, go to summary, and basically just watch the last part. That's just if you want to like have everything in 3 minutes. But for everyone else who wants to really dig into this and learn everything about the Feral Druid, stay with me and let's go through the entire video. And again, if you want this build here, the talents I have made, if you want the talents, the rotation, not the rotation, but if you want the talents, the keybinds, the macros, the UI, anything, it's all on my Discord server. There is like a forum in there where there's a room for each of the class and specs in there where you can get everything you need. So there will be a talent string, UI link, macros, anything for you. It's kind of like a little forum, like a little library. But let's get to it. All right, let's talk about stats. So, of course, as always, the first stat I'm always recommending is highest eye level / upgrade level. For example, if you're doing if you're doing a raid on Raid Finder, you will be getting items here, which is veteran level. As you can see over here, veteran level. I would always, like, let's say you got this weapon here. This is the veteran weapon. If I got another weapon which is also veteran weapon, I would look then at the secondary stats to try and get the one that has the best secondary stats. I would never go back to an adventure weapon, which is like, the lower upgrade level of your item. I would only keep veteran or always go up. So that means next time it's champion, then hero, then myth. So if I got another weapon, which was the higher one, which is now champion, then I would always go with that one, no matter the stats. I would always go, upgrade level up. But then if I got another item in the same upgrade level, I would only pick that one if it actually has better secondary stats. But again, if I get an item that has a higher upgrade level, always take it. If it has the same upgrade level, then look at the secondary stats. If it is a lower item upgrade level, then don't bother with it. And again, this is like when you get an item, for example, this is an item here from the hardest difficulty of the raid. You can see it's called Myth here, upgrade level Myth, and then so on. But you can see the upgrade levels here in the right side always go up, and you can see from the bottom here, that's the best, and then it gets worse. That's the first thing, just to get you satisfied, clean on that one. Then next up, we have Mastery. You are used to watch my guides where we always have haste as the first. Like normally in my SBA guides, it's always haste, which is the most important one, but not for this one here, because the thing is, Feral Druid's main damage comes from bleed damage. So you're gonna have like 6 to 10 bleeds on your target all the time. You're gonna see numbers everywhere on your screen. That's basically, you're gonna be after you watch this movie, you're probably gonna be some kind of like science guy who's gonna do a lot of math, because you're gonna see numbers everywhere. And when you sleep and close your eyes, you're gonna be seeing numbers as well. You get the point. There's gonna be so many numbers on your screen when you're playing the Feral Druid. So first of all, we want Mastery. Mastery is such a good stat for us, because if we look at our Mastery trait over here, you will see here, that it actually says here, increase the damage done by your cat form bleeds and other periodic abilities. So basically any spell that deals damage over time is increased by 47% damage. And also my finishing moves. So every time you use a spell that uses combo points, you know, like 1 to 5 combo points, the combo points you have under your portrait up here, they also deal that 47% increased damage. I currently have 48 mastery, which is of course why I have 47% increased damage. So my bleed damage is crazy right now because of I have so much. The thing is, you kind of want to try to have between 30 to 35, because after 35, you know, it's kind of like up to 30 and 35, you get a lot from mastery, but then after 35, 1% mastery doesn't give 1% more damage anymore. It kind of like, you know, it kind of diminishes. Like, it's kind of like, you know, now you have too much. Now we only give you 0.5% for each of the percentage you have. That's why then you want also critical strike. And you want to try to see if you can get, like, the perfect combination would be you have 30% mastery, 30% critical strike. That would be such a cool thing. And again, why would you actually want critical strike? So we actually have a talent here called Primal Fury. That one is, while in cat form, when you critical strike with an attack that generates a combo point, you gain an additional combo point. Damage over time cannot trigger this effect. So basically, every time you crit with a spell that gives you combo points, like a generator, whatever you call it, and it crits, we actually get additional combo points. So instead of only getting 1 combo point, we get 2 combo points, which is insane because that can make our entire rotation go so much faster and we can get so much more damage out. And also, of course, it makes all your bleeds have, like, we have so much bleed damage going on. So, of course, it also makes all your bleeds have a higher chance to actually crit and do double damage, which is also just insane. So, crit is just working really, really well together with mastery. So, I looked up a lot of guides, and most of them, they all say mastery crit is really important, especially when you play the build here called Druid of the Claw. Then, beside of that, we have haste, which is very important because it gives us energy regeneration. It makes the global cooldown, which, you know, when you use single button assistant, you get punished with a 25% global cooldown. So every time you use a spell, you know that it has like this little thing that turns around. You can see if I use my spell, it turns around on all the other spells. That is a 1.5 second cooldown on all your spells, at least some of them. And with using the single button assistant, it's 1.8 second, but then the more haste we have, the less it actually is, because it will actually reduces the global cooldown, which is very nice. So it reduces the global cooldown, it increases our attack speed, it increases the regeneration of our energy we get while in cat form. So just overall, it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, if possible, try to keep it between, 18 and 22, if possible. And then everything else, versatility. It doesn't really matter with versatility how much you have. Of course, it's a nice stat. It increases the damage you do, the healing you do, and it reduces the damage you take. So all, as it says on the screen, it's a nice filler stat. So of course, if you could get an item that has mastery, but it also has versatility, that's not bad, it's fine. If you could get an item with critical strike and has versatility, that's also fine. But yeah, that is the perfect stat rotation, you could say. Again, don't think too much about, again, if you just want to have cozy time and you're not that hardcore, just go with, again, as I said, go with the highest eye level, the upgrade level. That's your first priority. And then whenever you get an item that is the same eye level, upgrade level as the one you have, then start looking at the secondary stats. Just, write this down on a little paper, put it on your screen, and every time you get an item, you look, okay, this item here, okay, it has haste and versatility. That's okay. It's not the best. It's like the 2 worst, but I can live with it. Oh wait, this one has crit and mastery? Holy shit, that's the best thing I can ever get. Yeah, that's very nice. So you just keep it. Of course, then if you get one that is high eye level, high upgrade level, you change it. Because again, high upgrade level is more worth, in my opinion. If you ask a lot of guides, they don't feel the same. They want secondary stats higher, but again, I'm a casual guy, so I just want to have high upgrade level. That's my main goal. But yeah, so that's the stats. Let's move on to talents. So as always, because of request, I am of course always doing a raid build and a dungeon build. I started only doing dungeon builds, but a lot of people were like, well, it would be nice if you also did raid builds, because that's nice, because, you know, then it's easier to kind of like switch between content, and I totally understand that. So that's why this is the dungeon build, which is all about LE damage, LE damage, LE damage, LE damage, you know, just all about LE damage. And then we have the raid build, which is all about single target damage. So we are removing all the crowd control spells, because we don't need like crowd control, we don't need crowd control, we don't need this one here. So we're just getting for some like survivability things which can help with the raid. And then it's just all about single target, single target, single target, single target, single target. So yeah, raid build, which is very raid boss focused, which will deal a lot of damage on single target bosses. And then we have the dungeon build, which is all about multiple targets. So yeah, so very important. Again, these builds here you're looking at right now is all on my Discord. So you can go to my Discord and the export string is going to be there, so you can very easily get it out. Yeah, it's very nice. But that was just a very quick intro to the talents. Let's now dive deeper into the talents, and let's talk about all the things and how they actually work together. So let's start with the left side here. I'm going to try and make that very short, because we don't want to talk about things that just like, you know, physical damage is and armor is increased by 6. We just want to talk about like important spells. So first of all, we have Rake, which is one of your main abilities we're using in the rotation. It's just like an ability that deals like a little amount of damage directly, but it deals a lot of damage, like 80k instant damage, but 500k over 12 seconds. Also, it reduces the movement speed of your target, and if you're using this spell while in stealth, it actually deals 60% increased damage. So when we actually start the rotation, it's very nice to just be in stealth, because then your single button assistant is always going to try use Rake first, because then it will actually deal 60% increased damage, which is nice. And if it's inside a dungeon, it will actually also stun it, which is even nicer. But yeah, you know. But again, it's not too important you start in stealth, because we do have this one here, which will every time, well, finishing moves has a 6% chance per combo point spent to make your next Rake or Shred deal damage as they are in stealth. So don't worry if you did start in stealth, you will still have this one here, which passively is going to make your spells work as they were in stealth. But I mean, still, everyone wants a very good opener. So just get in stealth and, you know, start the opener on a boss like that. Of course, sometimes in dungeons where they pull a lot of mobs, you're not going to be able to do it, but it is what it is. But try to get in stealth for every time you go into like a new boss or something like that. Then we have Frenzied Regeneration. It's a very nice healing spell. You know, it basically just like, you know, you pop it and boom, it's going to heal you for 32% of your HP. Very nice. Only costs 40 energy. Now you might be asking, why can you use this spell here? This is normally only for like bear form. Well, because we play Druid of the Claw, we have this one here, which is actually making it castable in cat form and only costs 40 energy, which is super insane. And then we also have this one here, which is... which also increased the healing by 10. So more healing from it, and now we can also use it in cat form, which is, in my opinion, insane. We also have this one here, which will automatically use it when you get below 40% health, and you can use every 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes, you will automatically get a Frenzy Regeneration as well when you get below 40% health. So already there, insane amount of self-heal. We also have, where was it? We also have Rip, which is... like it's one of our main abilities we're going to use in the rotation on, for example, single target and multiple target, but it's the ability we use combo points on, which deals like a lot of, like it's a long bleed damage on 19 seconds. So in single target raid bosses and so on, we are using Rip on targets because it deals a lot of damage over time. But in multiple targets, for example, we're using Primal Wrath, which is also going to apply Rip on the targets, but for a lesser, like a shorter time. But this is a way for like applying Rip to a lot of targets at the same time, which is pretty cool. Beside of that, we also have, let me see here, we also have this one here, which increases the damage of Rake, Rip, and Trash damage by 10. We also have Trash, which is it's a spell that's just like people didn't use to use it in rotation, and I'm not sure if actually everyone uses it in rotation or if they think it's waste. But a single button assistant is using it, so we cannot avoid using it. We just have to use it. But basically, it makes everyone around you bleed. It only deals like 50k damage when you attack them, and it deals 130k damage over 12 seconds. The thing is, Shred costs 20 energy, 40 energy. Trash costs 40 energy. It deals 200k damage. It deals almost 200 damage. So using a shred is actually giving you 220k damage instantly, where trash is only going to give you about 200 over 12 seconds. So it's like against a single target, it's not really worth using trash that much. But again, we also have stuff like, you know, when you have a bleeding target, we deal more damage to them and so on. So don't think about it, because the single button rotation is going to use trash for you. So it doesn't really matter. So we can't even debate it, because you're not going to be able to say if it should be using it or if it should not be using it. We also have Primal Fury here, which is the one we just talked about before, if you saw that part with the stats. But basically every time we are critting with an attack that generates combo points, we get an additional combo points. So for example, when you're using spells like, that could be spells like Shred, for example, which is generating combo points, and it actually crits, it's going to give you an additional combo points, which can really make your rotation more faster and more smooth. We also got Skull Bash. This is your interrupt spell. So when you're against the bosses or mobs, they're casting a spell they should not be casting, then you can use Bash to basically interrupt them. We also have Remove Corruption. We basically need it to actually get down here, and there's not really anything else that is worth taking. But yeah, if you like, you can remove you can remove a curse or poison from your allies. So if, let's say you're against a boss that throws poison at everyone, the healer only has one poison cleanse, then you could help him or her by removing a cleanse as well. But it's also going to, of course, go over your DPS, but I mean, yeah, that's up to you. Then we have this one here, Asin's Renewal. So no one plays with this one here, almost no one plays with it. Everyone has this one here, which will heal you for 30% of your maximum health instantly, but has a cooldown of 1.5 minutes. The reason for why I don't like it is because if you look at my bar down here, I don't really have more space for more spells. Like I want to have, like, I don't really want to have more spells down here. So this would just give me an additional spell. I know it's a strong healing, but and I could technically macro it together with like Frenzied Restoration or Baskin. I could do that. But this one here is going to heal you automatically every 30 seconds. So instead of every 1.5 minutes, it now heals you for every 30 seconds. When a hit deals more than 12% of your maximum health, instantly heal you for 10% of your health. So imagine a boss hits you with something like 50% of your damage, boom, then you actually heal back 10%. And it can happen every 30 seconds. So in my opinion, I'm like, you know what, it's actually a nice thing, and it's passively, I don't have to think about it. So yeah. We also have Soothe, which is a okay ability. Not many people actually uses it, but basically if you have a mob that enrages, like getting bigger, faster, stronger, you can actually use Soothe to remove that enrage effect on them, which is quite nice. We also have Typhoon, which is an interrupt spell. So if you have like 3 or 5 mobs standing in front of you, you can actually interrupt them all at the same time, because you're going to push them all. We also have Vortex. If you have like a lot of mobs and you don't want them to move out of a certain place, you can use Vortex, and when they try to run out of it, they would just be like pulled like back. We also have Innovate, which is going to allow our healers to use all the mana they will for free for 8 seconds. And also Nature's Vigil, for 15 seconds all the single target damage you deal. Also heal nearby friendly targets for 20% of the damage done. It can kind of like, if you see everyone is getting down to 20-30% health, it's very nice of you to pop it, because you're going to help your healer a lot. So, you know, they're going to be grateful for it. We also got Stamping Roar, which can be a quite important spell. It basically makes everyone increase the movement speed by 15%. So you can just like help everyone to get faster somewhere. Or if it's one of those bosses that pushes you out of an edge, you can actually help everyone like run faster against that push. We also have 6% more stat when we are inside cat form. So critical strike is increased by 6%, which is quite nice. We also have this one here, which is going to give us 4% mass stamina and 5% more damage with physical abilities. You also have a charge. When you're inside cat form, it's actually going to be a charge. So you have like this charge down here, wild charge, which is nice. We have another interrupt spell. So if you have again 5 mobs that are standing in front of you and they all casting a spell you don't want them to cast, you can use that one and it's going to interrupt them all. And then lastly, we have this one here, which will automatically put you into the right form when you use a spell. For example, if you use Mangle, it will automatically get into bear form. If you use Shred, it will go automatically into cat form. And it's kind of just so you can like switch between your forms if you want. Because we do have some passives here, which is helping you to like heal when you go into, for example, bear form, and you can like switch into bear form, get some healing, back into cat form, and this is going to help you. So technically you could add, for example, where is it? I was looking for Mangle. Mangle, do I really have to search for it? There. You could put down like Mangle on your keyboard, because then when you are using your normal rotation, let's say you need some healing, then you use Mangle, and now you're inside Mangle and you're going to get some healing because we have some passives that's going to heal you. And then you can very quickly go back to cat form after you got your healing from that passive and so on. So yeah, you know, sometimes a mythic dungeon, it goes crazy and you have to like go into some defensive mode so you don't die, which is more important. So yeah, let's move on to the hero tree. So now here in the middle, we have Druid of the Claw, which is the hero tree we're going with. Again, the reason for why we're going with this one here is because pretty much everyone is playing with it. It's kind of like the meta, so on right now. So it's just like, if you look at the statistics, not many people is actually using Wildstalker at the moment. So Druid of the Claw has the first spell called Ravage. Your auto attacks have a chance to make your next Ferocious Bite become Ravage. So basically, Ravage is an overpowered version of Ferocious. I can't say that word. Ferocious Bite. So Ferocious Bite normally deals 400k damage and can deal up to 100% more damage if it has 25 more energy. So it costs 25 energy, but it can actually use 50 to do 100% more damage. Very nice. This one here is then dealing 750k instead of 400k. So you can see if this one here has 50 energy, it will actually use 100% more damage, and it will be 1.5 million damage instead, which is insane. But this one here also attacks enemies in front of you. So you can see the damage on the screen. It says 750k. That's to the target you have, the target you actually have clicked on. The 700, which is next to the 273, which is next to the 700, is what the damage you're going to deal to the people around your main target. So not like around you, but like everyone in front of you. It's kind of like an arc in front of you. So like, it's like a triangle in front of you. It's going to get attacked by this. So super awesome spell. And again, every time you use auto attack, it has a chance to like pop it. We also have this one here during Berserk. So while you're inside Berserk, which is your main cooldown for like damaging. During Berserk, Shred, Brutal, Slash, and Trash has a 25% chance to make your next Ferocious Bite become Ravage. So basically, those 3 spells can now also activate that we can cast Ravage spell. So while you are inside your Berserk, you're going to be doing a lot of Ravages. Then we also have this one here, maximum energy and rage increased by 20, and Frenzy Regeneration also increase your maximum health by 10. We also have this one here. You can now, if you use Iron Fear or Frenzy Regeneration in bear form, it now persists in cat form. So, but I mean, it's not often you would anyway cast it in it, because we have this one here, which makes it castable from cat form, Frenzy Regeneration, and we don't have Iron Fear over here. Also, when you're transforming from bear to cat, you retain 80% of your bear form armor and health for 6 seconds. And for 6 seconds after entering bear form, you heal 10% of the damage you have taken over 8 seconds. So let's say you have just taken 5 million damage, 1 million damage over 10, for the last 8 seconds. Then when you go into bear form, you will basically heal 10% of that. So it's kind of like a nice little healing you get from your bear form whenever you go into it passively without even using a spell. Then we also have this one here. Frenzy Regeneration can now be cast in cat form, and it costs 40 energy, so very nice. We can now use the healing inside cat form. Also, bear form reduce magic damage taken by 6%, and also Shred and Brutal Slash damage is increased by 6, which is nice because we actually use Brutal Slash. And also, Mangle damage increased by 25, in case you need to do some damage inside a bear form. We also have this one here. So basically, when you actually are using Ravage, it will do a bleeding damage on the target. which is going to be there for 6 seconds, and also make them reduce damage they deal to you by 4%. But basically, it's a bleeding 100k damage over 6 seconds. It is not affected by this one here down here, Circle of Life and Death. It actually says that in the tooltips. It is not affected by this one here, so it will be dealing its damage over 20% less time. So instead of like 6 seconds, this one here would normally like push it down to like something like 5.2, but it's not affected by this one here. So it's just telling us it. It also tells us if we use, for example, when you use Tiger Fury, you deal 50% more increased damage. So if you actually use Ravage while having Tiger's Fury on, you would actually have cast this bleeding here, Dreadful Wound, on the target also, where it deals 50% more damage. What it basically tells us is that if you actually use Dreadful Wound again and again and again and again, that comes from Ravage, and it never expires, but you keep reapplying it, it keeps the 15% bonus from Tiger's Fury, even if Tiger's Fury is not active. It's quite a nice little thing, but it's a bit of a gamble because you don't know really when you're going to get a Ravage. Like that is random. You can't control when you get one. So you can sometimes be lucky and have like 3 Ravage in a row, and then basically the damage is still increased by 15 because you haven't canceled the one that was activated while in Tiger's Fury. I hope it kind of makes sense. I had to read this one here 20 times at least before I actually understood it. Then we also have this one here. Ravage increases your agility by 8% and the armor granted by Iron Fury by 20% for 8 seconds. We don't again have Iron Fury, but it will just like every time Ravage is now being cast, we're going to get 8% agility, which is quite nice. Your first Tiger's Fury after entering combat makes your next Ferocious Bite become Ravage, which is nice. So now we both get Ravage from auto attacks. We get it from the first time we're using Tiger's Fury in combat. Yeah, and the first time you're using it in combat. Like, so every time you're leaving combat and into combat, it works. And we also get it during Berserk from the free abilities. So it's quite nice. So we're going to get even more Ravages now. Then we also have every attack with an energy cost that you can cast, extend the duration of your Dreadful Wound by 0.6 seconds up to additional 8 seconds. So basically this bleeding we cast, which I just talked about, that gets the benefit from Tiger's Fury, and even when Tiger's Fury is not active, you keep reapplying, is now actually getting extended, like it will be longer time on the mob by 0.6 seconds for every attack that cost energy. So every time you cast, for example, Ferocious Bite, because it costs energy, every time you use Shred, every time you use Trash, every time you use a spell that actually costs energy, it will extend the duration by 0.6 seconds. So in that way, you can actually have the dot running on the mob for 6 seconds plus additionally 8 seconds, which is quite nice. So it gives you a very big chance to actually be able to reapply it before it goes off, and it keeps getting the 50% buff from Tiger's Fury. Then we also have Bestial Strand, Ferocious Bite, and Rampant. Ferocious damage is increased by 10, and Primal Wrath direct damage is increased by 60. So again, Primal Wrath is this one here over here, the one that actually deals AoE damage and applies Rip to everyone. And then of course you have the increased damage from Ferocious Bite, which is one of our main combo points users, also the one that gets replaced by Ravage. But also it mentioned this one here, Rampant Ferocity, because when you use Ferocious Bite, it also deals about 100k damage per combo point spent to all nearby enemies affected by your Rip. So basically, when you use Primal Wrath first, it will apply a Rip to everyone around you, and then this one here will make Ferocious Bite deal 100k damage to all the targets around you that has Rip on. And it will increase the damage per combo point, which is quite nice. Spending extra energy on Ferocious Bite increases the damage you deal up to the 100%. So even if you so we have talked about this a lot, even the energy bonus you're getting from Ferocious Bite is actually also counting on this one here. So if you're using 25 energy, it will deal the normal damage, as I said here. If you're using 50 energy, it will actually use 100% increased damage. But again, we are of course using the single button assistant button, so we're not really in control on how much energy we have when we actually cast it. So we just have to lie back and trust on it. Then we also have Step Pending Roar duration is increased by 25, so now it will be on you for 10 seconds, which is, I guess, nice. And then we also have this one here, Shred, Brutal Slash, and Mangle's Critical Strike chance. Critical Strike chance and Critical Strike damage is increased by 15. So I mean, we are not using Shred because Shred is like Well, we actually are using Shred. Yeah, it's just because I remember that this one here was actually... yeah, sorry. This one is replacing Swipe, not Shred. I was mixing the two words. So yeah, we are using Shred, we are using Brutal Slash, and we are also using, well, not really Mangle. Sometimes Mangle when we're going to go into bear form, but still. So yeah. So that was the middle talent race. Let's go to the feral one in the right side. So then we have the feral tree. This one here is, we can probably go through this one quite fast. So we have first Tiger Fury. Basically, when you use the spell here, it instantly gives you 50 energy and increase your damage of all your attacks by 15%, both like direct damage and bleeding over time, and so on, so on, and so on. This one here is inside the single button rotation, but I will talk about it on the rotation part, how you should be thinking about using this one here. Again, you cannot control it because it's inside the single button rotation, but there is something you need to do together with it. Then we also have Omen of Clarity. Your auto attacks have a chance to cause your clear casting state. So basically every time you use an auto attack, you have a chance to get into clear casting, making your next Shred, Trash, or Brutal Slash cost no energy. Very nice. Then we have Primal Wrath. It's basically a combo spender, which will deal damage. It basically, the only reason we use it is to apply Rip to all the targets around us, because it deals very, very low damage in itself. I mean, not okay, maybe not that low damage, because this one here deals 400k, can do up to 800k depending on how much energy you use. This one here can only deal up to 300k, but at least it does 300k damage to everyone around you. So single target we use Ferocious Bite, multiple target it uses Primal Wrath. But again, single button rotation is going to take care of that, so don't even think about it. Then also Shred deals 20% increased damage, and Brutal Slash deal 50% increased damage against bleeding targets. Very important. Tiger's Fury lasts 5 additional seconds. Your combo points, generation abilities, direct damage is increased by 40% of your haste. This is quite nice. Your combo point generating abilities, direct damage is increased by 40% of your haste. Which is, I mean, nice, because then every time we have more haste, you would think that, okay, shouldn't haste then be the most important stat? But no, because this is just increasing the damage of our combo point generating abilities, which is spells like Rake, Brutal Slash, Shred, but that's not where we get the most damage from. That's not our main damage dealer. Our main damage dealer is the bleedings, which comes from Mastery. Mastery increased the damage of bleedings, and Mastery also increased the damage of our finishers, which is like Ferocious Bite or Primal Wrath. So again, it's nice to have this one here, but it shouldn't change the focus to have haste as most important. We also have this one here. Rake also applies Rake to additional one target, nearby target. So basically, when you use Rake, it will also Rake someone who's close. So just like double damage. Just to let you know, this one here and this one here is not used in the raid build. As you can see here, it's not used in the raid build because those are purely for AoE, like dungeon scenarios. For a raid, you would never use them. You would use instead this one here, Call to Spring. If you generate a combo point in excess of what you can store, your next Ferocious Bite or Primal Wrath deals 10% increased direct damage. So basically, if you generate a combo point too much of what you can actually have, it just increases this damage of your next Ferocious Bite or Primal Wrath by 10%. Very nice. And then they also use this one here. I think, how many stacks do we have over there? We're using 1 stack. Maximum energy increased by 20, and energy regeneration increased by 8%. Just 1 out of 2. Cool. Then we have Sabertooth. This one here is super... No, actually not. That's not the one. That was the one over there I was thinking about. Never mind. So basically, Ferocious Bite deals 50% increased damage. For each combo point spent, Ferocious Bite primary target takes 6% increased damage from your cat form, bleed, and other periodic abilities for 4 seconds. So you can see for each combo point you spend on Ferocious Bite, it's actually going to be increasing the damage it takes by what am I trying to say? By 6%. So you can see here, if we take like Shred out, or we take Ferocious Bite out, and this one had an icon looking like this one here. So if we get up like a few combo points like this, and we now use this one here, you can see here, increase the damage of over time by 30%. So it actually went all the way up, and now the next 4 seconds, all my bleedings was on periodic damage abilities were dealing 30% more damage for 4 seconds, which is quite nice. Again, this one here in the middle here is used for the raid talents, which gives more energy and regeneration. And then we also have, while stealth, Rake will also stun the target for 4 seconds and deals 60% increased damage for its full duration. Very nice. So again, that is the one, which is why we are going into stealth before boss. Because then single button assistant is going to automatically use Rake. And now it deals 60% more damage. I mean, 60% more damage is a lot. So, and also of course we have this one down here, which has a chance, not that one. Which one was this one here, where every time we're using a finishing move, which is like, you know, finishing move is once where I use combo points, it has 6% chance per combo point to make your next Rake or Shred deal damage as they were in stealth. So it goes very, very nicely together in synergy, which is funny enough the one we're going to talk about next now here. So yeah, this one here, which is the reason for why we're going to be casting all the time stealth effect spells, because of this one here. It also increases the damage increased by Shred, by the way, if you use that in stealth. But we're not going to be doing that because it's automatically going to be using it for this one here. So Shred and Rake is going to be increase the damage by 60% all the time because of this one here. Then we have Survival Instinct, basically a cooldown you can use, which is going to reduce all damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds. We also have Ferocious Bite, deal 80, so we already talked about this one here, but basically every time you use Ferocious Bite, it's going to, depending on how many combo points you do, it's going to deal 80k damage to everyone around you that has a rip on them. And the more combo points you have, the more, like, it's going to like double the damage for each combo point. So one combo point is equal 80k, but then of course every combo point is more 80k, more. And if you also use 25 more energy on the Ferocious Bite, it's also going to deal 100% more damage. So basically the rotation would be like, first you cast a Primal Wrath to make Rip on all your targets, and then whenever you're casting Ferocious Bite, it also deals damage to all the targets around you that has Rip on them. Very nice. Again, this is purely for the dungeon build again. In the raid build, we are not using this one here. Then we have Infected Wounds. Rake damage is increased by 30, and the Rake causes the infected wound in the target, reducing their movement speed by 20 for 12 seconds. We also have this one here. Your finishing move have a 20% chance per combo point to make all your next regrowth or entangling roots instant, free, and castable in all forms. So basically, whenever you use combo points, there's a big chance that you can see, because of the UI I have, we can see the icons out here. But basically, there's a chance you're gonna get a buff that has like this line icon here, like this one here now, and it will make you every time you use combo points, it has a chance to do that. So it will basically make your now entangling roots or your healing instant cast. You can use it in all forms, so it's very nice. Like if you have lost some HP and you're fighting, and suddenly you can see, oh, my regrowth is like shining up, then you can just click it and it's instant free, and it will just like, heal you for like almost like 400k and then 100k over 10 seconds. So yeah, it's just like a nice way of getting a little free healing. Then we have Berserk. Let me just see here. There we go. So we also have Berserk. Go Berserk for 50 seconds. While Berserk is active, you can generate 1 combo points every 1.5 seconds. Combo point generating abilities generate 1 additional combo point, and finishing moves restore up to 3 combo points generate over the cap. So yeah, it's going to give you tons of combo points, and also it's going to increase all the damage you deal by 15%. Which is why in the rotation, whenever the rotation is using Tiger's Fury, we use Berserk as well at the same time. They goes really, really well together. So when we get to the rotation part, I will talk more about it, but basically we use Berserk the moment after it uses Tiger Fury. Then we also have Rip damage is increased by 20%, and Ferocious Bite, yeah, that's basically just it. Ferocious Bite deals 12% increased damage. Ferocious Bite deal 20% increased damage, and additional 12% during Tiger's Fury. Very nice. Also, Tiger's Fury causes your next free finishing move to restore 1 combo point. Tiger Fury also increases the periodic damage of your bleeds by an additional 10% of their full duration. Also now reduces the cooldown of Berserk by 60 seconds. Also now during Berserk, your combo points generating abilities bleed the target for an additional 150% of the direct damage over 8 seconds. So basically, when you use Berserk, all your combo point generating abilities like Brutal Slash, Shred, so on, they actually also create an additional bleed on your target for 8 seconds, which is called Frenzy something. But it's really nice. It's a very strong, like, you know, when you actually open up with Berserk, well, like if you were like using your rotation, just waiting for the Tiger's Fury to come in. There we go, Berserk. Then basically now you can see here with the damage we're dealing. Look at here. There, Frenzied Assault. That's the one. That's the dot we keep. You can see how much damage it does. Like look at that. It just goes up. Like now it's second one. It's an insane dot. Like look at that damage. It is basically taking. Like it's my most damage spell. So it is a crazy damage over time ability. But again, remember you can only use it while you actually like look at that. 8 million damage just from that. But again, it's a dot that can only be casted while you are having Berserk on. So you don't have to think about it, you just use Berserk after you've used Tiger Fury, and then automatically all your combo point generating abilities is making the target bleed, and it just kind of like stacks up inside it. And as you saw here, now it's gone. But yeah, it took over the damage meter and was my most damage spell during that window. So yeah, very, very nice damage while we're using Berserk. Then we also have Brutal Slash, basically is replacing Swipe and making it a way, way stronger ability that deals 250k damage all the time. And it deals 50% increased damage against bleeding targets and deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. So, you know, instead of having like Swipe was before like a little spammer ability which you used against too many like monsters or mobs, but now this one here is actually one of our main abilities to get combo points, because it will give us 1 combo point and it has 3 charges and only a 7-second cooldown. So very, very effective spell, deals a lot of damage. And let me just see, and in the raid build, of course, we have Moment of Clarity. Moment of Clarity now triggers 30% more, which is this one up here. You know, where our auto attacks has a chance to make all our it has a chance. Auto attacks has a chance to give us clear state, which makes Shred, Trash, Brutal Slash cost no energy. So, but this one here just makes it happen 30% more, and can have up to 2 charges now, and increases damage with your next Shred, Trash, or Brutal Slash by an additional 50%. But again, that's like a pure single target thing, so that's only for the raid build. I mean, it's, of course, Brutal Slash is AoE ability and Trash, but still, it's not for the dungeon build, it's for the raid build. Then we have Frantic Momentum. Finishing moves has 6% chance per combo point spent to grant 10% haste for 6 seconds. So just a little nice way to get some more passive haste, which is very nice. Then we also have Blood Talents. When you use 3 different combo points generating abilities within 4 seconds, the damage of your next 3 rips or Furious's Bite is increased by 25% for the full duration. And this one here actually works really well with this single button assistant as well, because I saw when I tested my rotation that it keeps getting this buff here. So the single button assistant is actually automatically using different combo points generating abilities, which has to be, because it actually uses Trash, it uses Shred, it uses Brutal Slash, so it automatically uses all these spells here that will automatically give you combo points. So you don't have to think about it, but it will normally you would have to think about this if you don't play with this SBA, but now you don't have to think about it because it automatically does it for us. Then we also have Adaptive Swarm, very nice little ability. You basically throw like some swarms, some flies on your target, which is going to either heal for 200k, like if you throw it on an ally, or deal 450k if you throw it on an enemy for 10 seconds. And increase the effectiveness of your periodic abilities on them for 25%. So basically, if I had all my bleedings up on a target and I use this one here, then all my bleedings is suddenly going to deal 25% more damage, which is insane. When it expires, it finds a new target, preferring an alternate between friend and foe up to 3 times. So it will jump from enemy to ally, enemy to ally, enemy to ally. But even cooler, This one here again is only one we have in the dungeon build, not in the raid build. We do have this one here in the dungeon, so you can see we have this one here up in the raid build because it gives us that 25% increase. But in the dungeon build, we also have this one here. So when it actually splits, when it actually jumps to another target, it has a 60% chance to split into 2 swarms each time it jumps. So basically, imagine you have one swarm on your boss, then it jumps to your friends. But now this 60% triggered and it jumps on 2 friends. Now you have 2 friends with 2 charges back. It has 3 charges in total. So when you cast it on the boss, it can jump like 3 times. I believe it's 3 times it can jump. But then, then it jumps to 2 targets. Now it has 2 charges back, and each of these targets now have the 2 charges. Then it jumps, maybe each of those will trigger again the 60%, and suddenly they jump on 4 enemies. It's just kind of like fun how it just keeps like swarming around. And of course, it only has like a 25-second cooldown, so you can like cast it before the last one is off, because the last one is going to be off in 30 seconds. So you can kind of like have 2 going on all the time, which is quite nice. In the raid build, we also use Feral Frenzy. It's basically just a spell that a 45-second cooldown, which is included in the single button system, but it deals like 500k damage. Unleash a Furious Frenzy, clawing your target 5 times for 100k. So basically 500k damage instantly, and then it deals like 700k damage, bleeding damage, over 5 seconds. So it's a very, very nice spell to deal just on one target. Also, it gives you 5 combo points. You can like use a combo point ability after that. But it's a super nice ability to just like throw fast, deal a lot of damage, deal a lot of bleed damage. But in a dungeon build, it's not really worth it because there's no point using it against like 10 mobs. Like we're gonna do a lot of damage to one mob, like whatever. Then we have Convoke the Spirit. So basically, when you use Convoke is also used inside the single button system, but it's a fun one. It basically just uses a lot of random abilities over, 4 seconds. So over 4 seconds, it just uses a lot of random abilities. It can use Ferocious, Bind, Shred, Moonfire, Wrath, Rigrow, Regeneration, Rake, Trash. But yeah, it just like does a lot of crazy abilities on 4 seconds. This one here is also used in your single button rotation, so you don't have to think about it. Yeah. Then we have Soul of the Forest. Your finishing move grant 2 energy per combo point spent and deal 5 increased damage. So yeah, nice. This one here is only for the dungeon build. Your damaging over time effects deal the damage in 20% less time, and your healing over time effects heals in 50% less time. So again, if I, for example, used Rake on this target here, let's just find Rake. Where is Rake? Rake, there. So normally, you can see right now it deals bleeding damage over 12 seconds. So we can see here, 12 seconds, which is probably already counted down from this one here. But let's say normally maybe it was 14 seconds. But then because of this one here, it actually deals all the damage over time in 20% less damage. So instead of dealing, let's say, 1 million damage over 10 seconds, it now deals 1 million damage over 8 seconds, which is going to help you because that's more damage out in less time. A lot of people's like, but then my dot is on for lower time. Isn't that bad? No, because it deals more damage in a shorter time. So it's going to help you. It's going to make you deal more damage, which is nice. This one here is only for dungeon build because we don't care about that in a raid build because, the boss is going to stay alive for a long time. It's not like a dungeon where mobs die faster and you really want to like apply a lot of dots to them all and, make them die as fast. We don't use this in the raid build. This is purely only for the dungeon build, not in the raid build. We also have these two here, which is only for the dungeon build. So applying Rip to a target also applies a tier that deals 50% of the new Rip's damage over 6 seconds. So basically, when you actually use Rip, so you can see if I actually use Rip on it, they also get this on them called tier. It's like additionally bleeding, like it's a bonus bleeding coming from Rip. Which is gonna, it's nice because when you, for example, I'm pretty sure Primal Wrath is also applying it, isn't it? So if you go into like Shred, Primal Wrath, it also applies it, which means when we actually use Primal Wrath to give Rip the bleeding on all our targets around us, it also gives them tier all around us, which is just even more damage in the dungeon with a lot of mobs around you. So tons of bleedings on all your targets all the time. And then we have Apex Predator Craving, Rip damage has a 6% chance to make your next Ferocious Bite free and deal maximum damage. This one here makes sense in a dungeon because if it was only a raid build, it's not that good because it's only like you only have one rip that keeps doing damage. So every time rip deal damage is like has a 6% chance. Now we're gonna have 5 mobs on us, which all gonna have rip on them, which gonna have a huge chance now to give us this effect, which is gonna make our next Ferocious Bite free and deal max damage, which is pretty nice. But again, as you can look at the screen right now here, this is the dungeon build and this is the raid build. And the only thing the raid build has that I haven't talked about is this one here. Tiger Fury damage bonus increased by 6%. They have 1 in that one, but they have 2 in this one here, which we don't use in the dungeon build. This is only for the raid build as well. When you spend extra energy on Ferocious Bite, the extra damage is increased by 60 and they have 2 in it. So I'm pretty sure that means it's, we can see it like if I remove this, it's 130% damage. So now Ferocious Bite is not just increasing by 100% damage, now it's actually, I believe, 220% more damage, which is crazy. But again, only really worth on single target damage again. So yeah, I mean, you could also combine it together with this one here, but yeah, I don't think this one is actually getting increased by it, but yeah. So again, this is the dungeon build, this is the raid build. Dungeon build purely single target, purely multiple target, and raid build is single target damage. So, that was the talents. All right, let's talk about the rotation. So basically, we have single button rotation down here. We are using a macro. We're using this macro here called this one here. So you can see here, no channeling, Convoke the Spirits, single button, assistant. It's on my Discord again, so if you want to have this macro here, you can go to my Discord and you can also just copy it from there. But basically, it's just this. So I created a macro, I inserted this text here, and I drag it down to the bar down here. Basically what it does is when we actually use our spell Convoke the Spirits, if I was pressing 1111111, and it actually used Convoke the Spirit, it would cancel Convoke the Spirit in half through it. And you don't want that, because Convoke the Spirit deals a lot of damage. So you don't want to cancel it. And I mean, you could say, well, but you could just stop pressing 1. But I mean, that kind of ruins the point of having the single button assist, because we just want to press 1 all the time. So now, because we're using this macro here, it doesn't cancel Convoke when we actually use it, which is very nice. So let me just show you here. This is the opener. Basically, in your opener, you're going to be using 1111 all the time until it uses Tiger's Fury. When it uses Tiger Fury, you very fast click on Berserk, because Tiger's Fury, Berserk works so well together. 50% increased damage, 50% increased damage, 30% increased damage. And then what I was reading on the different website is that then you should be using Convoke the Spirits right after Berserk. And it actually does it automatically in the single button rotation. So see here, first it uses Rake, then it uses Swarms, then it uses Trash, then it uses Brutal Slash, then it uses Tiger Fury, now very fast Berserk, and now it will use Convoke the Spirits. And then we just press 1 as fast as possible, because the more 1 we get out while having Berserk active, the more bleeding we're going to do from Frenzied Assault. So it's just about pressing. And there we go. That's the opener. That was the opener. And again, if you want to see the opener again, you can just go back like 20 seconds. But basically, we keep using 1 until it uses Tiger's, Tiger's Fury. Once you can see Tiger's, you saw my buffs here. In case you want to have those buffs, you just go to Options, Gameplay, Cooldown Manager, and then if you import my UI, they will be over here. So actually, they will be over there. When you can see Tiger's Fury has been used, again, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Keep using 1. Now Tiger's Fury, and now I will very fast use my Berserk, and then I just spam 1 as much as possible. Because if you don't do it right after Tiger's Fury, it's gonna be using Convoke, and then it's kind of too late. So you want to use it the second after uses Tiger's Fury. Of course, if we didn't use the single button rotation, you could do all this yourself. You could use you know, your Tiger's Fury whenever you want it, Berserk whenever you want it. But because it's all part of the single button rotation, we have to follow what it does. So again, spam 1 until it uses Tiger's Fury, then very fast spam Berserk, and then just press 1 all the time. And I am questioning a little bit, why do we actually use Berserk before Convoke the Spirits? But every guide I was reading, they all recommended kinda to use, because Convoke is going to deal so much more damage from the 30% damage. But in my opinion, you cannot use, like, you know, your full bleeding capability from it then. But I don't know. So again, it's kind of like up to you. Try, you know, work with it. But again, let's do it again. Pressing 1 all the time. Now use actually Tiger's Fury, very fast Berserk, Convoke. And now we just press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So yeah, great damage. Almost 4 million DPS with a very, like, you saw that, almost 4 million DPS with some very, very, very shitty gear. So yeah, very shitty gear, but almost 4 million DPS. I mean, what's not to like? And in the raid build, this was in the dungeon build. In the raid build, no difference. We still just press 1, and we still use this Berserk after Tiger Fury. There is no difference to that. So I don't need to go into the raid build and show you that, because there's no difference. Cool. So as always, as a tradition, that was the opener. Press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Use your Berserk when you use Tiger Fury. I know some people like this, so I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it because they like it. The spells it's going to use is, first, it's going to be using spells like, it's going to be using Adaptive Swarm, which is the swarm we cast through the target. It's going to be using Brutal Slash to, like, generate combo points, deal damage. It's going to go automatically into cat form whenever you are not in cat form. It's going to use Convoke the Spirits, but first, after all the other spells that is important. It doesn't just use it out of the blue. It actually first uses when you have your bleeds up, your Tiger's Fury, and then it uses for you. It's also going to use Moonfire, but not if you're not tethered into this one here. So when you don't have this one here, it doesn't use Moonfire, which we don't play with. It's also going to use Primal Wrath automatically if it sees a lot of targets around you. So if there's only one target, it's probably going to ignore Primal Wrath, but when there's a lot of targets, it's going to be using Primal Wrath. It's also going to be using Rake to keep up the dot, especially if you start in your stealth. I kind of forgot to say that, but try always on a boss fight to start in stealth. Because when you are in stealth, it's going to start using Rake, and it's going to deal 60% more damage because of the stealth buff we have. So again, always try to be in stealth when you start a fight, because, you know, you're going to cast a Rake that deals 60% more damage. And I know you're also going to get that from this one here automatically while just fighting. But I mean, why not start a fight with 60% more damage from a spell? Again, don't think too much about it, but, you know, just try to go into stealth and see if you can do it. Yeah, and then of course it uses Rip, which is one of our main bleeding damage as well, Shred, Trash, and Tiger's Fury. And as tradition, let's talk about the other spells I have on my keypoints right now. So number 1, I have single button system. Number 2, my Berserk. If you want, you can also make a macro where you basically are putting it into a burst macro. So you can see here, show tooltip, cast Berserk, use 13 and use 14. That's my trinkets. So in case I had like trinkets where they like had some kind of like burst capability, now I have 2 passive trinkets, so I can't really use that for anything. But if I have a trinket that also gave me stats, then you could use this macro here, which is, you know, putting in a burst. Or if you play a troll also has the racial called Berserk, I believe, which you also could be using in here together with it, so you could save some keybinds. Number 3, we have Skull Bash. Basically, if the target here was casting a spell we don't want, you can use it and it interrupts the spell. Number 4, we have Regrowth. Remember that every time it glows up, you can actually, you know, you can use it from stealth, which is really cool. Not stealth, inside cat form, you know, when you actually are using your rotation, it has a chance to glow up, and then you get this lion head over here. This one here, yeah, this one, exactly this one. And now you can use it inside cat form, which is quite nice. We also have Wild Charge, which is a charge ability. Then I have Stealth. For Stealth, I'm actually using a macro, because I like to spam my Stealth when I want to quickly get into Stealth. I really want to like just spam my Stealth. You can see like now, to get into Stealth, and then I don't want to interrupt it by using another ability. And you can see I still have my stealth icon here, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't. If I use the normal stealth ability, it would keep going in and out, in and out, in and out. But because I have this macro here, cast, no stealth, prowl. Now it will not go out of stealth when you're inside stealth. So this really allows you to just spam stealth to get into stealth. I know it's a bit more like a PvP thing, but it's also very nice before a boss fight. If you know that he's going to pull the boss in like 5 seconds, it's very nice to very quickly get into stealth. By the way, that person has a really smooth transmog. I like that. Yeah, off topic. Then we have remove corruption. It basically remove curse or poison. So if that target had curse or poison, I can like remove it from him. We also have frenzied restoration, which is our healing ability. So if you need like health, it's gonna heal you for 32% of your health. It costs only for like 40 energy, so you know, use it whenever you need healing. It also automatically casts every time you get below 40% health, and it will not use the cooldown on this one here, so you can actually use it double. Then you have your E ability, Baskin, which is going to reduce all damage taken by 30 and increase all healing received by 20. And you can use it, you know, all the time. Even when stunned and stuff like that. We also have Nature's Vigil. Basically, if you pop this one here, then all the single target damage is actually also going to heal. Like you can see all the healing we do now. It's going to heal a lot of people. So it's very nice if you're like in a dungeon and you can see everyone is getting very low on damage. You just pop it. Then we have Survival Instinct, very long cooldown, but it reduces all damage we take by 60%. Very nice. If you have a group of monsters that is casting ability and we want to interrupt them all, then you use Incapacitating Roar. It's basically like stunning them all, and it puts you into bear form. And then you could just use your single button and go back to cat form. Or if they cast a spell again after that, and this one is still in cooldown, then you have Typhoon. It pushes them and stops them again. In case you have a mob that is following you, you want to stop them, you can also use Entangling Roots and set them like that. We also have Stapending Roar, so basically a spell that makes you run very, very fast, and your entire group. So you can see Stapending Roar. It can really help you in bosses like against Dementius, where he's like pushing you off the edge or something like that, and then you can use it to help everyone like run against him. Very, very nice. Then we also have Dash. That's a stealth that, a speed that only goes to you, only makes you run faster. And let's say these 5 mobs, we don't want them to move, then you can use this one here called Vortex. And now, if they moved out, they would be dragged back, which is quite nice. We also have Soothe. Let's say this target here went into Rage and became stronger and faster. I can use my Soothe on it instantly, and now it removes all the Rage effects on it. And then we have Innovate. You could technically cast Innovate on a healer, so you can, if there was a healer here, I could use it on him, but I don't think we have a healer here. But if you used Innovate on a healer, for 8 seconds they would not be using mana, so they can really just spam mana abilities. Then we also have Mark of the Wild, which of course is our Druid buff, which is going to give everyone versatility for 3%. We have a normal rest if someone dies out of combat, and we have a combat rest, so if someone dies inside combat, you can actually also rest them. Keep in mind the cooldown of this one is shared with other people who can do it, like Death Knights, Paladins, so on, Warlocks, so if they use it, your spell will also go on cooldown. Yeah. And then we also have spells like Mangle. It's kind of up to you how you want to manage that. If you want to like add bear form down, my recommendation would just be like, you know, put Mangle down. So if you need some healing quickly, you can use Mangle, and then it's going to heal you for that, you know, because of this effect here. It's going to heal you for 10% of the damage you've taken from the last 8 seconds over 6 seconds because of, yeah, which one, I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was this one here. Yeah, this one here. So yeah, but that's a little way where you can like get a bit more extra healing, you know, go into bear form, and then it heals you for 10% of the damage you've taken over the last 8 seconds or something like that. Okay, that was the entire rotation. Let's do a quick gameplay video. So here we go. Let's buff up everyone with Mark of the Wild, just so everyone gets 3% versatility. We're going to start going into stealth, because you know we're going to get that 60% more damage from Rake. It's not that important when it's a lot of trash mobs like now, but still. Going to use some sprint. Going to wait till he actually has aggro on the mobs. He wants to pull even more. Still let him. Okay, I went out of stealth now. Wait till he's still not ready. And now we press 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Whenever it uses Tiger Fury, we're going to use Berserk. And if you're close to die, use your Q, which is our Frenzied Restoration, which is our heal. But else we just press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And keep going. So, I mean, some decent damage. Everyone in the team has basically way better gear than me. As you can see, I have like way lower HP than all of them, so they have like way higher eye level than me. But I mean, that's fine. We can. This is gonna make it even more fun when we can see if me, as a very bad geared Feral Druid, way worse than them, if we can actually deal more damage than the people who has most HP. Like now, look at this. And that's the fun thing, because people who doesn't use single button rotation, they have to think about, like, they need to think about what spells they're using. They're like, oh, he just pulled a few mobs. I don't want to, like, do damage now because I kind of want to save my rotation. But people like us, who use single button rotation, we don't care. We just press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We deal, like, we are unstoppable. We keep doing damage. Like, look at now. All these people, better gear than me, doesn't matter. Doing more damage. Because I'm unstoppable. And it's funny because a lot of people is trash talking the single button rotation, but the thing is they forget. Sometimes you get stressed, and sometimes like now I could be stressed and start doing something I shouldn't be doing. But instead of like normal people, they would like stop doing damage now and they'd be like, oh my god, what should I do? I don't care about that. I just press 1 and follow my damage rotation. Now of course the hunter, he's dealing more damage than me, but we do have to remember that he's He is quite decent geared. He's actually very decent geared. So that just makes it makes it even more fun that we deal more damage than him. We actually won. Wow. So if you if you're thinking about trying this build, you should definitely give it a go. I wonder, that warrior, he was like kind of like out of range all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna wait doing damage, because if I do damage now, I'm gonna get aggro on all these mobs. I don't want that. Gonna make everyone run faster. Still not attacking, because else every one of the mobs is gonna explode on me. And now, waiting for Tiger's Fury. Whenever I use Tiger Fury, they're Berserk, and now we go crazy. Okay, we're getting some pretty decent damage out. I gotta admit, when you think about our bad gear, we are helping the team with killing. We're definitely helping with killing. So yeah, I know it's a heroic dungeon. I know it's not that important of a dungeon, but still, it's funny how people they keep trash talking the single button assist. But I mean, look at the damage. We're doing good. We're doing really good. Imagine if I had the same gear as the other guys. Now we probably don't have any cooldowns back, so this is gonna be interesting to see. Oh shit, what is the warrior doing? I'm not even on the damage meter. What is going on? That warrior, did he just like wake up or something like that? But I mean, he also has almost 15k, like 15 million HP, where I have 9 million, so we are very different in gear. But it's just fun to see how much damage I need to like hit him with the laser. There we go. It's funny to see how much damage I deal with, AoE damage. Yeah, look at this. Even this item here is better. Do I still have my... I still have my bonus, cool. I wonder if you actually... I've never understood it. Do you actually have to click on those poles? Or can you just simply ignore them? Could I use Berserk? Because it just used Tiger's Fury. Ooh, almost top damage. It's funny, that warrior, he deals no damage on trash mobs. But on single target, he went like crazy. Doing some decent damage again. I like this. I don't know, like, if I can be honest with you all. I don't know if you all have like tried this, but you know, when you played a damage dealer in a dungeon, like, you know, a DPS, am I the only one who has some kind of like anxiety when, you know, you kind of keep looking down on your damage meter to see if you actually are doing okay damage, and if you don't do okay damage, you know, you feel like kind of like bad or something like that. But all that is gone. I don't have that anymore. When I'm using the single button assistant, I honestly don't care anymore. It's just like, you know, in my world, I'm always thinking, I'm doing the best I can. I'm pressing one as much as I can. So, you know, if the damage is good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. It's making it way more fun for me to actually be a damage dealer in a dungeon. Normally, I didn't really want to be damage dealer because I was like afraid of doing enough damage, if you know what I mean. But now, after getting this build here with a single button system, I don't care about it anymore. It's like, you know, I deal the damage I can, and if it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. So we could definitely see on dungeon, like on mobs, like normal mobs, I was doing good damage. Like trash mobs, I was always like in the top 2. But now, with bosses, I can definitely see my damage is lacking a bit more. Now actually using Berserk, it was actually going quite fast up. Still decent damage compared to I have so much more trashy gear than the rest of the people. But yeah, overall, I am very satisfied. So, let's do a very quick summary of what this build is about. First of all, we have the stats here. Always try to go first with agility. What I mean with that is going with the highest upgrade level of your items. Always try to have the highest upgrade level. If you look at your armor or weapon, you can see what upgrade level they are. Always try to go with the highest one. If you get an item that is the same, then look at the stats and try to get the best stats. We are trying to get around 30 to 35% mastery, 30% critical strike, between 18 and 22 haste, and you know, versatility doesn't really matter. But again, mastery is increasing, boost all bleed and finisher damage. SBA keeps them up 100% of the time, so you know, when you're using single button assistant, don't worry, it will put up all the bleedings all the time for you. Crit is giving you even more crit combo points because of the talent we have here, which is this one here, gives you even more talent combo points. And it also just gives all your bleedings a damage to like explode, you know, when critting. Haste is giving us lower global cooldown, which is making, you know, this build, like the single button assistant, less punishing, gives us more energy regeneration, and yeah, just makes the entire rotation more nice. Versatility is giving us increased damage, healing, and less damage we take. Rotation is quite easy. Hold on, let me just get rid of all this. Rotation is quite easy. You basically press 1 all the time until it uses Tiger Fury. When it uses Tiger Fury, you use Berserk very quickly, and then you just keep pressing 1 again. So again, you press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 until it uses Tiger Fury, then you very fast use Berserk, and you keep using 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's basically a rotation. It is recommended, if possible, to go into stealth before you start your damage, because then your Rake will deal 60% more damage, which is your main bleeding damage. So you can see here, like if you're going to stealth, it will actually now use my Rake first, and it's going to deal 60% increased damage. So you can see here, boom, 60% increased damage over its dealing period, and so on. So very nice. Every time your number 4 is highlighting up, it actually is going to give you an instant heal, just so you know. You also have frenzy restoration, which is going to give you more heal. The talent we are using is this one here, We both have a dungeon build, which is all about AoE damage, dealing most damage to a lot of mobs at the same time. And we have the raid build, which is only about single target damage. So, you know, the raid build is for single target bosses in raids. The dungeon build is for like multiple targets, delves, even bosses in raids where you need to like do a lot of cleave damage. But again, press 1, try go to stealth if you can, press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 until it uses Tiger's Fury, then use Berserk, and then just 1, 1, 1, 1 again. And yeah, I mean, that's basically the summary, the stats, the talents. Again, if you want the talents, they are on my, they are on my Discord here. So you can see Discord, go to my Discord, link in the description. But yeah, that's the summary. So thanks for watching, everyone. This was my Feral Druid guide. And honestly, I must admit, it was actually a quite fun video to make. I like the spec, and usually one of the things why I didn't want to play a Feral Druid was because there's so many things you have to apply all the time. You have like these 8 to 12 abilities where you need to keep using all the dots. It's just like, it feels like you need one of those like special keyboards to actually play this spec. It's kind of crazy. But with the single button assistant, it really made the entire build just so much more fun. And as we saw in the dungeon, the damage was actually quite good. On trash mobs, I was able to many times be the top 1 damage dealer, and I had so much shitty gear than the other DPS in the dungeon. On bosses, though, I wasn't doing very well, but it could also be the situation where the other guys had, you know, single target damage on their builds, and because maybe if I had the raid build on, I would deal more damage to the bosses, but it is what it is. But I'm quite like satisfied with the build. It's fun. I like it. I'm actually thinking about like getting a Feral Druid out on Legion Remix, because keep in mind, you can use all the builds I have. All the builds you're seeing in the videos can also be used on Legion Remix. Just so you know, Legion Remix is using exactly the same talents as we're using here. So if you like any of my builds from my videos, you can use it on Legion Remix as well. Cool. So thanks for watching. Was fun to make this video. Next video is probably going to be Havoc Demon Hunter, and then we're going to have an Unholy Death Knight after that one, because that one is very requested. But I have promised a lot of people to do the Havoc Demon Hunter, especially with Legion Remix coming out. So yeah, so probably Legion Remix after this one here, and then Unholy Death Knight, and then possibly some Frost Mage, and so on, so on, so on. So yeah. In case you want to support the channel, feel free to become a channel member, YouTube member. It will be highly appreciated. You will get like a badge to your name. You will get some exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff, and etc. In case you want to support. And also your name is going to be in the end of the video, which you're going to see very soon. But again, I am still appreciating everyone who's watching the videos, appreciating everyone who's commenting, letting me know what you think about my content. I appreciate all of you for really wanting more. Like, if it wasn't because of you, I wouldn't make more of these guides, because they're quite time demanding. Like, they require so much time. Because I see all your comments, you want more guides and so on. It just keeps giving me more motivation to keep making more builds. So thanks for that. All right, enough talking. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next guide. Peace out.